Hey guys, back with another video, and today we're going to be watching this 20 minutes and 58 seconds long. Let's see it. Why? Guys, we have a spent. Me and Hunter have a spent the Skinwalker, a 4. Have you seen my TikTok? You probably remember. Let's keep it on. Video to show you something creepy.
So I'm up at the ridge line right now, about where the fence is at, and so behind this fence over here, there's a wood line. It's about 9:48 in the night. So we just heard a scream a little bit ago. I don't know if you can see past this, but so behind this where I'm pointing right now, there's a forest back there, and it's a pretty big forest. It's a state park. So there's nothing that's back there and it's protected, so I don't know. But we're back here and there's this fence right here that protects my friend's yard where we're at now. And from that, I don't know what you'd call this, but there's a pasture right here with a bunch of trees. You can't really see them. I don't know if you can see that tree or not. You see that tree right there, that fern right there? It's a fern, and then there's a bunch of other ferns all around. And it gets more dense as you go back. But what happens is this creature comes up against this fence, and it jumps this fence. And it was standing, we think, right in this where I'm standing right now. And my friend's inside right now, but I'm getting this footage. And did you just fucking hear that? That was fucking it. Oh. Fuck this, I'm out. Fuck this.
Guys, hear the last part.
Did you just fucking hear that? That was fucking it.
We're coming to you.
Oh. Fuck this, I'm out. Fuck this.
And you're like, nah, beep this out. I'm done. Yeah, I will be the same. What about this one?
Skinwalkers, Fleshgates, and Goatmen are all names commonly used to describe a very old but recently discussed creature commonly residing within the North American or Canadian forest and wilderness. The internet has of late been flooded with people sharing their encounters and experiences with these creatures on sites such as Reddit and 4chan. While there tends to be an element of fiction in a lot of these stories, many hold their roots in some very old folktales, and some experiences posted online have an eerie feel of truthfulness regardless of the subject matter. All are terrifying, unnerving, and share common elements which lend themselves to an emerging pattern of behavior among these creatures. This is something of a change of pace for Top 5 Darkest, as in this video we'll aim to build on our trial series of Paranormal 101. If you enjoyed this format, please let us know in the comments section. We would really love to know what our fans think of this kind of video. So without further ado, we take a look at our top 5 signs of a Skinwalker encounter. Let's begin. Number 5. Location. The majority of Skinwalker encounters take place in the dense forests and woodland of North America and Canada. Whether this is simply a habitat preference or a spiritual tie to the area remains unknown. Native American legend tells of ghastly creatures stalking the tree line around campgrounds and settlements, neither human or animal in description, but commanding the ability to change their shape at will. Since all known stories of Skinwalker attacks and experiences tend to occur in or around the aforementioned locations, one should be wary in camping or hiking groups, as it is only within the wilderness that these creatures are likely to appear. Number 4. Stalking. Skinwalkers, as a cryptid, conform to a rather predictable pattern of behavior as the collections of stories corroborate. If you find yourself spending time in an area which matches the habitat of these creatures, then the next stage of an encounter will usually fall under the description of stalking. Most commonly described as an unshakable feeling of being watched or followed, coupled with the fleeting glances of something vaguely human-shaped within the trees or behind bushes. The creature will be very cautious not to be caught within direct line of sight and stick to one's peripheral vision. The stalking period can range anywhere from a few hours to a few days, depending on the length of the camping or hiking trip, and the sense and feeling the creature can ascertain about the group's mood and wariness. Number 3. Sense, sounds, and sensations. At the third stage of a skinwalker encounter, things start to intensify quite rapidly. Whether or not the following actions are that of intelligent strategy or those of a creature becoming tame to a group of strangers in its habitat is unclear. After spending some time in the peripheral of a group or member of a group, a skinwalker will become much more brazen in making its presence known. One of the most commonly reported events is the overwhelming smell of blood or copper in the air. Known to sometimes be so strong as to induce vomiting in some individuals, it is described as the smell of a day-old kill if one were to be hunting and left the carcass within the campgrounds. The smell will dissipate as quickly as it appeared, but will return many times over the course of the encounter. Sounds usually accompany or immediately follow the smell of blood. In a horrifying display of scare tactics or failed communication, the skinwalker will unleash terrible screams and calls from around the campgrounds. These range from unearthly roars to sharp yelps and even vaguely human-sounding shouts. Perhaps as an after-effect of the previous experiences, the sensation of a heavy atmosphere will envelop the group and the immediate area. People have described it as a similar feeling to the static charge in the air before a storm, but this sensation is accompanied with a noticeable lack of wildlife and birdsong. Number 2. Attack. At this point, any level-headed person or group will have packed up and left the area as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, due to the terrain, weather, or other unforeseen circumstances, this is not always possible. The next stage of the encounter will unfortunately lead to the incapacitation or even death of a party member. What happens at this point is that the creature will employ one of two actions. It will either repeat the previously mentioned behavior, or it will single out a member of the group and make them the focus of its attack. At this stage, the creature will have spent a long time in close proximity to the group, and one of the more terrifying abilities of the skinwalker is that of shapeshifting. It will employ this ability to physically warp its vocal cords, calling from the trees in a terrifying series of gradually human-sounding cries, culminating in the perfectly mimicked voice of a member of the group. It does this in an attempt to draw the singled-out member of the party to investigate. If this fails, or it simply chooses to ignore this step, it will follow closely until its selected individual has left the group alone, and it will now reveal itself.
Yes!
Reports vary from story to story, but given its shape-shifting ability, anything is possible. The consensus seems to be a vaguely humanoid figure, looking as though it has had many bones broken and is barely holding shape, or a mass of human and animal flesh, barely able to carry itself under its grotesque shape.
Is it done yet? Dinner?
Number 1.
What?
Infiltration.
Yeah?
The final stage of a skinwalker encounter is actually on par with the beginning of this video's description, at least from the point of view of the remaining party members. If the skinwalker was successful in separating a single member of the group, it will have given chase and taken the individual down, either stowing them somewhere far out of sight or killing them there and then. The creature will then proceed to remove the clothes of the victim and study the structure and shape of the body, using its twisted abilities to take the shape of the downed individual. It will make its way to the campsite and attempt to take the place of the party member it has killed, and the creature will do its best to observe and mimic what it considers to be normal human actions. It is unknown why it would use its abilities to this end, but it is reported in the majority of stories on the topic. People have claimed to see the body-snatched individual intently studying conversations, silently mouthing the words being spoken, and mimicking body language and gestures. Naturally, this behavior and responses given by the creature posing as human will be off and unnatural. This is sometimes culminated in suspicious and incredibly agitated members of the group outright challenging the creature in a violent manner. This has sometimes been known to be met with no violence in return, but very exaggerated mirroring of the movements and gestures employed by the group member. The end of these reports range from the entire group leaving the individual behind, the individual returning to the forest, or even the group not noticing enough of a difference in behavior and returning home with the creature posing as a friend. So there you have it, a slightly different take on our usual Top 5 Darkest format, but we hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to let us know what you think in the comment section and check back again for another Top 5 Darkest video. Until next time.
Nah, you don't have hurt. I know you out. Guys, that was